Hey gamers, welcome, and it's about time to finally talk about Lords of the Fallen, as I have been playing this game for 70 hours at this point. I and G9 got invited to playtest this game something like 2 months ago, and I have personally beaten it twice, and I want to talk about some misconceptions that I very often see in the comment section, and overall I want to talk to you about cool things currently available in the Lords of the Fallen. I cannot speak of everything though, so I am going to touch only on the surface, but especially if you are new to the channel, I recommend you to subscribe, because there's going to be way more content from me, especially related to kind of guides, tips, stuff like this. Oh, and also I cannot talk about multiplayer. We are going to cover stuff related to multi in a week. And I want to talk about something very cool for me, which is responsiveness of the character in this game. All your moves, if that's roll, if that's turning around, everything is super smooth. Small details like the fact that you have a dash when you are locked on your opponent, but also you can, for example, double click for the roll. Also the fact that the dash is on the click because sprint is on the alt 3 is kinda cool, to say the very least. In the online discussions, especially when plenty of content creators got invited to the closed events, I have seen like a lot of concerns about parries or deflects, as it is more like deflect in this game than parry. So the concern was that parrying is simply too easy, and my answer to it may be, but it doesn't matter. So as you can see, I have actually parried the guy over here, but essentially there was no like a vulnerable parry animation. Now we have that one. So how does it actually work? So look at the lock-on indicator. It is essentially stability gauge, and by either attacking or deflecting your opponent, you are decreasing that gauge. Depending on the weapon type, depending on the type of the attack, if that's heavy, if that's not heavy attack, and so on, you are either going to deal more damage or less damage. When your opponent is out of the stability, you can either attempt another deflect, or you can use the heavy attack for the sake of to put them into the riposte ready animation. That is essentially how it works. Another thing I want to talk about is Umbral lamp. The lamp is an essential tool for everything. You are using it for the sake of to solve puzzles, to explore, and you're also using it in combat. So let's look at this boyo. We can actually get him out of his body, and then when we're gonna attack this ghost, he is not gonna be able to actually attack us, and meanwhile we are going to be doing the wither damage, the white one, yeah? Then if we are going to attack them with any different type of attack, we are essentially going to deal that entire white damage, and on top of that also the additional damage that normally we would do from the another attack from our blade. But that's not all. Let me go into the Umbral world right now. The trick with the spirit doesn't work on everything, but you can still use your lamp to throw your opponents around, as you see. And by the way, the direction was chosen by me. You have full control where you are going to throw your opponent. Pretty handy and very fun to use tool, not gonna lie. By the way, just a moment ago I attacked with the one-handed type of the moveset and then swapped into two hands. And I did it in the smooth way because, well, this is essentially what you can do. You click R1 and then triangle with another R1, you are actually changing the stance on the fly. And you can do that with, for example, R1 into R2. As you can see, it works from like a one-handed into two-hand, from two-hand into one-hand. You can do that of the power stance. And yeah, by doing stuff like this, you are able to kind of smoothly change the stances, which is very important. Because, for example, if we are going to go to the wall, let's go to these doors. I hit them, as you see, I am bouncing off. But when I have my weapon to hand it, it is not happening. So you can change your stance on the fly and keep on comboing your opponents without getting your weapons bounced off the walls. Another thing I want to talk about is menuing. Here is my opponent, and I am on half of my HP. I want to heal, let's say, yeah? But instead of healing with the regular, well, equivalent of Estus Flask from the Souls games, I can use the spell, yeah? But spell takes mana. Here is a thing though. By menuing, taking off your thing, you can, for example, swap off to the tools, and right now I have only the pebble, but essentially my point is, look at the bar. Now I'm swapping back to the well, catalyst, and as you can see, I have the mana bar. I swap off again and I have different bar. This is ammunition bar. It is actually usable, for example, by the bows. So essentially menu swapping in this game has actually even more purposes than swapping in Souls games. Because besides regular swapping to, for example, use some sort of thing in the inventory, you have actually legitimate reason that is optimal for the gameplay, as you can use, for example, magic type of projectiles to attack your opponent from the distance, and when you are low on the mana, you can just swap to the bow and use bow instead, with completely different resource bar. Speaking of menus, one of the options that we have here are tints. And yes, you can change the color of your clothes just like that. In the actual game, there is so many of these. I also applied the changes to everything, but yeah, you can just choose to, for example, change the color of only one part of your clothes. So essentially there is a lot of potential for fashion souls, let's call it that way, and this option is just great. And the last thing that I really like about Lords of the Fallen is this. It is essentially journal, and yeah, this is pretty much a world map, and this is the map of the current location I am in. In my opinion, it's a very interesting comparison to your regular boring journal, because these maps basically show you the point of interest. That tree we have already found before, and then the arrow shows that the another point of interest is supposed to be some sort of mill, and yeah, it's here, as you can see. There is X next to the doors, so I guess they mean these doors, of course, and since there is X, that means you don't want to go there. And if you're going to continue further, you have to look for castle, I guess, castle gate, something like that, yeah? And this is where you fight your first main boss, which is Pieta. And honestly, I could continue to ramble about mechanics of this game, because I spent so much time with it, I can assure you it's very fun. You have so many cool solutions, like for example, you see these mobs, they basically tell you that, hey, you're supposed to use the Umbral lamp here, and yeah, as you can see, okay, oh, if I am going to use the Umbral lamp, then water is no more. And there is so many things like that I am going to talk about in the another video, in, well, honestly plenty of videos that's coming to the channel. Honestly, just for the PvE, you can buy this game. It's very, very fun, and you are definitely going to enjoy it a lot. By the way, I'm not sure if they actually mentioned it anywhere, but you have 3D photos mode, which is quite great, and maybe I'm gonna do a dedicated video about that one. Anyway, that's about it. Thanks a lot for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye!
Hello, gamer. Memory's broken. Room goes unspoken.